Om Sadhashivasamaramбhaं Vyasa Shankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhasha Kutau Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So now for the invocation mantra. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vidhe Namaha. So this chapter 4 is called Tattvajnana Swabhava Prakaranam. So the word Tattvam means the truth or the essence, the truth of one's own self. Jnanam means the knowledge. So only when you have knowledge, then you will be able to understand the truth of one's own self. So Swabhavaha means what? It is nature. Swabhavaha means it is not something acquired. It is the very nature of knowledge is to reveal. So by revealing, it's not an action on the part of knowledge, it is just a Swabhavaha. So likewise, this particular chapter, only 5 verses are there. And the 5 verses talk about various aspects of how a Jivan Mukta lives his life in this Janma. So as you all know, Jivan Muktaha is a person who is a liberated person while living this life. So it's called Jivan Mukti Prakaranam, also called as Jivan Mukti Prakaranam. Or Prakaranam, when you say that which brings out clearly an aspect of a topic. So here the topic is Jivan Muktaha. So before we enter into the topic, we need to brush off some other old topics which we have discussed before, because you already have known about this before, but still nothing wrong in repeating here. So the topic talks about an individual called Jivan Muktaha, or how a Jivan Muktaha is different from an ordinary person or a Jnani person. So there are questions raised or clarifications sought about why a particular thing applies to one person and why a particular thing doesn't apply to other set of persons. So what is the difference and why do you refute certain arguments? This is the general flow of the discussion. So we all know that there are 3 karmas which everybody has got. The first one is called Prarabdha Karma. So Prarabdha Karma is that karma which has already begun to fructify, and it is in the form of the current physical body. So Prarabdha Karma is there when you know, because you have physical body. All of us has got Prarabdha Karma. And this is something which is accepted, known. And this Prarabdha Karma is something which has been accumulated for many years, many janmas before. It is not something which is acquired in the last janma. It could have been a culmination of our own evolution as a person, as a human being. We would have taken many, many births, and many punyams and papams we have done. And out of those, we would have expounded a lot of things in that Janma itself. Maybe we were born a frog in 10 years ago, 10 Janmas ago. And the frog punyam was already exhausted, frog papam was exhausted. Somebody killed the frog and ate the frog. So we could have been a frog, we would have been consumed by somebody, and we would have been freed from that papam. So somebody else who had the frog would have accumulated that punya, that papam, correct? So in this way, we would have transgressed over a period of time. I'll just give an example, because we would have gone from the insect, amoeba, cockroach, maybe a squirrel, rat, cat, dog. We do not know what Janma we had taken. And finally, we landed up with this body, finally. And because in this body only, now you are able to be sentient. You are able to understand every other living being in this universe. You can distinguish and separate each and every living being, including yourself. You can say that I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Right? Whereas an animal cannot say that I am not a tiger. It doesn't have the intellect to do that. So definitely we are blessed with something which is different. So this prarabdha karma is applicable for every person who is in this universe. Whether it's a jnani or a jnani, prarabdha karma is there. Now, sanchita karma is something which is some set of punyams and papams which are waiting for fruition. So sanchitam is the one which is waiting for fruition because it is not yet ready. So it is called adrishta phalam, or the one where you may acquire human body, you may acquire some other celestial body, or any other thing which is possible due to this sanchita karma which is sitting there somewhere. Now, then there's also agami karma. So while you are having the prarabdha karma, the physical body, you are continuing to doing actions. All of us are doing actions. So we have been eating, talking, sleeping, doing things, fulfilling desires. So many things are traveling. All these are all karmas. Anything which you do is a karma. Any action you do is a karma. There is kayikam, vachikam, manasam. So karmas are done whether you like it or not. You cannot abstain from saying that I don't want to do a karma. Correct? There's no individual in this universe who can say that I will stop doing karma, because it is not humanly possible for anyone to stop doing karma. Whether it's a jnani or a jnani, the karma will be done. Now, how the karma is taken is different. So there are two ways of looking at it. In the Vedic philosophy, there is something called vidihi, or injunctions. So a person who is having an ahankaraha or deha abhimanaha, the one who says I am the doer and I am a finite person and I am a jivaha, then he is governed by the vidihi. We saw before also. In the first chapter, we saw how the vidhi or the injunctions affect the karma, or the person who does the karma. So, getting up in the morning, taking bath, offering rituals to the sun god, offering doing pujas, doing rituals, elaborate rituals, all are part of the vidhi. Now these are karmas which are there in the vidhi. There are also other karmas which are not in the vidhi. Example, eating. Now, eating is not given as a ritual in the Shastra because eating is a natural desire. Whereas, if you want to go to Swarga Lokaha or if you want to go to some other Loka, then it is a desire. Correct? It is something which is, and for going to Swarga Lokaha, there are elaborate rituals to be performed. And number one is, the most important qualification for going to Swarga Lokaha is you have to die. So you have to leave the physical body or you have to have immediate death. Then you can say that I'm going to relinquish my body now and I want to go to Swarga Lokaha, which is not possible because nobody has got any control over death. Nobody knows when he's going to go. Because that again is Prarabdha karma is the one determines your longevity of the life also. So whether you are a Jnani or a Jnani, you do not have a choice over the life of the body. Correct? So this is understood, correct? This is something to understand. So an Ajnani person may be interested in going to Devalokaha. He wants to get Punyam, he wants to go to Vaikuntham. His desire is to go be with Vishnu. Or in case of a Shaiva Siddhantaha, you would say, I want to go to Shivaloka Praptihi. But so these are all karmic karmas. That means there is a desire or there is some desire in a person to achieve an objective. And if you have a desire like that, there are vidhis or injunctions given in the Shastra. So you are governed by those injunctions. Along with the other non-injunctions which are there, not in the Shastra. That is what? Eating, talking, sleeping, walking. All these things are not in the Shastram as ritual. It is everybody does it. Even animal also does it, you also do it. So it is not that you must not eat or you must not sleep or this much you should sleep or this much you should eat. It is not laid specifically in any Vedic ritual as to this much what it is. Because it is left to the person to do what he wants to do. If he wants to sleep, he can sleep. If he wants to eat, he can eat. If he wants to diet, he can diet. So some people do upvas, kadak upvas, it's called. So kadak upvas means like you starve for 40 days or 30 days. You want to slim down, you want to detoxify. All these are actually not given in the Shastra. It is something which you want to do, you feel like doing it, you can do it. So there are two sets of karmas which are specified to be understood. One thing is those governed by the Vidhi or the Shastram, and those which are not governed by the Vidhi or Shastram. So in case of the Ajnani, both the karmas are applicable, both the karmas are being done to the person. Because an Ajnani also feels hungry, he also eats. He also walks, talks. And the Jnani also has got the ahamkritihi or the ahankaraha, which makes him think he's a doer. And because he's a doer, he accumulates punyam and papam. Thereby, he also is governed by the vidhi or the injunction in the Vedic Shastra is there. So this aham kritihi, we had seen elaborately in the previous class also, this is erroneous notion. And erroneous notion is the one which is responsible for doing all these karmas. So the question asked in this chapter is, you say or you accept that there is prarabdha karma for jnani and also ajnani. Okay. So see, this is the Purva Pakshi statement. The Purva Pakshi is listening to all these things on a student who is, so a student who is actually attending the classes and he has got a doubt. See, prarabdha karma, I understand what it is. So you are saying prarabdha karma is applicable for somebody who is a jnani, and you're also saying prarabdha karma is applicable for also for ajnani. First, okay. So there's a commonality between two people, correct? Both of you will have got prarabdha because the physical body there. Ajnani also a physical body. Jnani also has got a physical body. Both of them are undergoing the same thing. Now the second also is called the now the Jivan Mukta now has got a physical body and he has become a jnani. Or maybe in 20 years time or 30 years time study Shastram, he has become a jnani now. And due to his gaining knowledge, he is now relinquished of agami karma. That means he thinks that he is no longer the doer anymore. And because he thinks he is not doer anymore, the physical body is the doer. He distances himself from the physical body, saying that the physical body is doing the activities, I am not doing the activities. So even though there is no physical distance between the two, but still the person or the Atma, the person who thinks is Atma, the consciousness, he is distinct from the other objects of knowledge. So whatever karmas are being done in the physical body, it is all mithya. It is not the truth. Thereby the phalam which is coming from all these things are not applicable to me. This is the view of the jnani. Now the Purva Pakshi is listening to this argument. He is saying that, okay, so you are saying that jnani gets knowledge, and you are saying that he doesn't get agami karma. But after getting knowledge also, the jnani does actions. Just like, so let us say like somebody like, Swamiji, somebody who has already become a Brahmaikyam, and he becomes knowledgeable and he continues to travel, go to places, eat, talk, walk. So the Purva Pakshi is saying that you are saying that jnani doesn't have any actions to do because he has relinquished all the actions. So how come when the knowledge is arising, when knowledge is already there, why the jnani is free from agami karma? You got the question? According to you, when the knowledge arises, he should drop dead immediately because he is not a physical body anymore. So you must, unless the physical body is there, you will continue to do karma. So definitely when you're doing karma, there will be something will be there. Some drishta-phalam will be there. And some adrishta-phalam also will be there. This is the view of the Purva Pakshi. So I'm giving you summary so that you understand the chapter. So we are not talking about Ajnanis. Ajnanis in a different bucket. Ajnanis has got all sorts of things applicable to him. All Vidhi karma, Nishita karma, everything is applicable to him. So the Purva Pakshi is not worried about the Ajnanis. His argument is coming at the theory of why you have got Parapakshaha towards an Ajnani and why you are not siding with the Ajnanis. Why do you have such a contempt for Ajnanis, or not a contempt? You distinguish that they are Ajnanis and you are all Jnanis. So we don't have this, you have this, and I don't agree to this. So the first point he raised was Prarabdha karma is applicable for Jnani and Ajnani. So you agree? He said, yes, we agree. So Shastram agrees, Adi Shankara also agrees. That yes, we agree, Prarabdha is there for both of them. Then Shankara later on explains, he has said before, that once a jnani gets knowledgeable, then in the wake of the knowledge, he is considered not a doer anymore. The doership is not there. Thereby, his agami karma also is not there anymore. He does not continue to gain punyam and papam because he distances himself from a doership. Then the Purvapakshi comes and argues, no, I don't accept this argument. Because you say that the wise person has gained knowledge. And when knowledge is raised, is already realized, then according to you, prarabdha karma is there for the person. So he is continuing to live in the physical body. Right? See the subtle difference. Huh? Knowledge is arising in the mind of the jnana. Prarabdha karma is there because the physical body is there. So while the knowledge is being realized, the prarabdha karma is still in the body of the person. So the jnani is doing activities like walking, talking, going for bhiksha, eating food, sleeping, traveling, teaching, all these things, or doing nothing, sitting there, contemplating on Om, also is an action. So all these things are being done by the person even after getting knowledge. So there has to be some punyam, some drishtaphalam accumulated by this person. Why don't you accept this? Or why do you deny that there's no drishtaphalam or adrishtaphalam for this person? Hope you got the question. See, this is a logical question. This is what a person who doesn't have Shastra Jnanam will ask this question. How is it possible? You're saying that there's let us say, our Swamini is there. She's a wise person, she's attained Jnanam. She is going to Bahamas, sitting there, eating food, having, why does the person have to do all these things? Because the person is doing all these things, there is some punyam or some adrishtaphalam being gathered. The Shastram says every action has got drishtaphalam and adrishtaphalam. You got that? So this Purvapaksha is actually listening to all these things said there. He is just picking the words exactly what he wants to pick, and he wants us to present his views. So prarabdha karma is already picked up, and which Adi Shankara is going to accept later on and say why it is like this in verse number 4. Then, in terms of the agami karma, Adi Shankar refutes this argument saying that agami karma is not applicable for this person. Whereas Purvapaksha says, you have to explain to me why. Why do you have the view that jnani will not have agami karma, and why do you feel that jnani will not have adrishtaphalam when you say the karma has got both aspects? So for that, Adi Shankar explains that yes, there is drishtaphalam for the jnani also. For the ajnani also there is drishtaphalam. Example, if you are hungry, you eat food. The jnani eats food, also the ajnani also eats food. Both of them got drishtaphalam. That means your hunger is satisfied. Right? Immediately, so drishtaphalam means directly pratyaksham you can see. The moment you eat food, like you take medicine. If you take medicine means you immediately know that it's working. But if you take an Ayurvedic medicine or homeopathic medicine for long, you know the adrishtaphalam will sometime later. So Adi Shankara is taking one aspect, he's saying, yes, I agree that prarabdha karma is there for the jnani as well as ajnani. I also agree that drishtaphalam is there for the jnani as well as for the ajnani. But the drishtaphalam is only applicable for a jnani for non-vidihi, or that which is not related, mentioned in the Shastra. Example, getting up in the morning, doing rituals, doing prayers, offering this, doing all this kind of elaborate rituals, pujas, all these things are given in the vidhi for a person who thinks that he is a jivaha, I have to do this. That means he says, I have to do this karma. and because I'm ordained for this, I should do this. So this ahankara as a person there is the one which lets you make these karmas do as a person. So if you take yourself as the doer, then these rules get applied to you. Like if a Vaidika or a priest comes to your house, the priest doesn't have knowledge. He may or he may not have knowledge. He may not have Atma Jnana, but he will have Karma Kanda Jnanam fully, correct? So when he comes to your house, what does he say? He will be very busy organizing things, right? So you may be a jnani, you'll be just watching things. But what does he do? Shomba Kalasa எப்படி வைக்கலாம், எப்படி கட்டுறது, அப்படி கட்டுறது, குச்சி எப்படி வைக்கிறது, all these things are there, right? She knows all the mechanism for doing this. She is busy doing those things only because he has to follow this ritual, otherwise the phalam will not be there for him. So he himself is doing those things for punyam. Is it correct or not? See, the Vadyar comes to your house for what? Doing punyam for you or for him? He is doing activity for getting more punyam because that is what he's saying. This is my job. If I don't do this kind of a puja for me, it is papam for me, so I have to do this. In the process of doing punyam for him, he gives you some punyam. Some part of the punyam is earned by you. Is it correct? If he thinks that you are going to earn only punyam, he's not going to do anything. He will not come to you. Why would he come to you? The reason why he's doing it because he is getting something out of it. So there is a drishta phalam that yes, Atma Triptihi. I went to this house, Jaishankar's house. He's a Vaidika, he knows all these things, and I did everything what I can, and he was very happy. I'm very happy about it. So he gets Atma Triptihi, which is the drishta phalam, right? And you also get drishta phalam because you are able to feel, everything went very well. The Vadyar was chanting very well, mantra was, everything was okay, and I was happy about it. This is drishta phalam. Adrishta phalam is something which neither you know or he knows. Correct. So adrishta phalam is something which is not going to come this janma, because already you have all the phalams which are there already. You are enjoying the phalams for the previous, which is still coming. See, the prarabdha which you are going to, all the phalams you are enjoying is prarabdha. Correct. Adrishta phalam is not going to be seen this janma, it will not be there. It will come to you this janma, maybe next janma. So it is all going to go into some bucket, something which you are going to see once the physical body is gone. So it will come as part of next Sanchita Karma balance which is coming there. Okay, so this is just like ultimately all these karmas, they are not somewhere in the world outside. There is no Bhagavan having a big warehouse or a big storehouse saying that I'm going to have all the jivas here. Every jiva's punyam and papam will be stored in this library like this, and somebody is managing this. No, it is all actually happening in the individual mind of the person. All your agami karmas, prarabdha karmas, sanchita karmas are stored only in your mind and thoughts. There is no other warehouse other than this. So everybody has got their own warehouse. Everybody is managing their own prarabdha karma, and they're living their prarabdha karma, accumulating agami karma, and then living, waiting for next sanchita karma to come. Is it correct? This is the understanding so far. So coming back to the Purva argument, he says that agami karma is applicable to jnanis. I accept it. But why do you say that agami karma is not applicable to ajnanis? Because after getting knowledge, he still does activities like eating, sleeping, etc., which is also generating punyam, drishta phalam. So why would you say that we don't accept this argument? So Adi Shankara explains, saying that in other words, that this drishta phalam which you're talking about is, I accept it is actually for both jnani and ajnanis. But the drishta phalam which you're talking about is for the ajnani, for the jnani, something different. Because he is not doing anything for kamya karma. See, the act of eating or talking, he is not eating out of desire. See, it is not like he wants to go and eat elaborate, exotic food. He chooses a restaurant, he chooses a place, goes and orders food, very picky about food, and then tries different varieties of food every day. What is it? Whatever you have, whatever is available, I'll just eat, because the purpose of eating food is to satisfy the hunger and keep the body alive, so that this janma can be exhausted. This one day after another, the body just keeps going, aging, and finally it gets dissolved. So this is the objective of the jnani. Whereas the ajnani lives a life not like this. The ajnani lives a life for desires, for purushartha. So artha, kama, dharma is the one where he lives for. So moksha purushartha is not there for this person. Or moksha purushartha is last. So Adi Shankara says that you cannot equate this person who is ajnani with this person who has actually transgressed all of them and is now living a life only for just to keep this body going. He himself doesn't have any desire to eat more or less or sleep more or less. If the job requires you to spend, supposing if you're teaching, you're a teacher. Someday you'll teach 12 hours a day, someday you'll 9 hours a day. Sometimes there will be no students, sometimes there will be more students to teach. So you'll have time which is allocated like this. So there's no particular pattern saying that this is what's my lifestyle, this is how it should be like this. So it's very flexible. Whereas jnani is not like this. So Adi Shankara says that you cannot equate these two because the jnani has got only one injunction. That is not covered in the Vedic manual. So because he is not given the Vedic manual, he is not obliged to follow any particular process. Because all the things which is written in the Vedic Karma Kanda is not applicable to this person. Whereas for the Ajnani, all the rituals Vedic are applicable for in the manual is to be followed by the person, along with the other thing which is not mentioned in the Vedic Shastra, which is the act of talking, eating, everything is there. Going to Swargaloka, also everything is there. All of them are. So he says, because there is only Drishtafalam, and Adrishtafalam is only for the person who has got a Dehatma Buddhi, or a person who has got a view that I am a Deha. For such a person, Adrishtafalam is required. But this person has already said that I do not need a physical body anymore because I am not a doer anymore. And all the actions are being done by this body, which is matter, which belongs to the Prakriti. So he disowns Adrishtafalam. Thereby the Shastram gives the liberty injunction for him to not to gain Adrishtafalam. Thereby Adrishtafalam is not applicable for jnanis. But Drishtafalam is applicable for jnanis to the extent of non-vidihi or non-Vedic related activities. Is it clear so far? Okay. Then after that he comes to, so Adi Shankara explains further and we'll see the verses later on. Then he says, okay, this is our view. So the Purva Paksha comes another question. The next question what he says was, what about the Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram? So you have disowned the Sthula Shariram. Now what will happen to the Karana Shariram, the cause of the body? That is the Prarabdha Karma. What will happen to this? So will the person, because your Prarabdha Karma is there, so what will happen? What is your answer to this? So according to me, Jnani also has got Prarabdha Karma. Ajnani also got Prarabdha Karma. Your Ajnani also has got, Sanchitam. He's also got Sanchitam. Agami also is there for both. So what are you teaching new about this? This is a question. So what has changed which makes you say that we have to learn all these things again and then all these things has to be proved? It's already there. I don't see any difference between these two people. They're all doing activities anyway. So, but you are saying that one person is excluded, other person is included. Because as I told you, the Purvapaksha or the people are from the Bauddha Madaha or the Vaisheshika philosophy, where they do not believe in Shastram, they do not believe in anything else. They read Shastram to support their logic. So they read Upanishad or they read text, Vedantic text, to see if there is some way they can support their argument, or if there's any way we can refute the argument. This is their view. But Adi Shankara is a visionary. He has thought about everything on this. He brushes off everything very easily. And he says that these are all actually all your imagination. And the Shastram is very clear about what a jnani is and why he is a Jivan Muktaha. So this is what is the essence of the chapter 4. So now, after giving this, then we can go into the actual verse now. So chapter 5, verse number 1. Aham pratyaya bijam, aham pratyaya bijam yad, aham pratyaya bijam yad, aham pratyaya vastitam, aham pratyaya vastitam, aham pratyaya bijam yad, aham pratyaya vastitam, naham pratyavastristam, naham pratyavastristam katam karma parohati. So, aham pratyaya bijam. So, aham pratyaya means what? The I thought. Pratyaya means thought. And aham means the I. So, the I thought which is there, so aham pratyaya bijam, the word yat has to be says vat, because that vat means the owner of the thought. The word yad is says there, but actually you should read as vat, or the owner of the thought. So aham pratyaya bijam vat means the person who has got the ownership of aham pratyaha, or what? The aham thought, I thought. Okay. So if you say Bhagavat, it means what? The person who's got a knowledge of the Bhagavan, the sixfold attributes of the Bhagavan. So Bhagavat, belonging to the Bhagavan. Or so when you say aham pratyaya bijam, bijam means what? The seed. The seed is sown in the person that I am the doer. Correct? Then aham pratyaya. So aham pratyaya means this particular thought is stored in what? Aham pratyaya vastitam. So vastitam means, stitaha means here, talks about the antakaranam or the mind. So all the aham pratyaya vastitam means all the karmas are stored in the antakaranam. See the word, see, aham pratyaya vastitam. So yad aham pratyaya vastitam. So if I have the ahankara as a doer, then the ahankara is stored in my mind, in the antakarana. So if the I thought, see, I itself doesn't do anything. Having an I thought, just I itself doesn't do anything. But the moment I comes in contact with aham, or the ahankara, then that is the one which leads you to do an action. So here ahankara is taken as the doership or the thought of doing things. So, because the ahankara is there associated with the mind, you are forced to do an action. And because you are forced to do an action, there are drishtaphalam and adrishtaphalam. Both are applicable to the jnanis. And because there is drishtaphalam, punyam is there, adrishtaphalam, punyam, papam could be there. So one continues to do this karma again and again. Punyam, papam is there. And punyam, papam is the one which is leads you to take further birth. Because this life may not be enough for exhausting all the punyams or papams. So you'll have to wait for one more birth or another birth, maybe 2 more births, 3 more births. How many births we do not know. Till all the punyams are exhausted or papam is exhausted. But as long as you live in Ajnana, next Janma also, if you're born as the same person, having a Deha Vimanaha, as Ahankaraha, same person, you will continue to be like this forever. You will continue to accrue more punyam and more papam. You will cycle through samsara again and again. So that is what is said there. Okay. Then, for the answer is given second line. Na aham pratyayaha vahnihi ushtam khatam karma parohati. So the word is na aham pratyayaha vahnihi ushtam. So Vashnushtam says Vahnihi means fire. So Na Aham means what? Na Aham Pratyaya Vahnihi. So when I thought when the Ahankara is not there, when the Ahankara is resolved or destroyed by the fire of knowledge. So Vahnihi, when I say here, Vahni means fire. So the fire destroys everything, correct? And when the fire burns, it will burn completely everything. There will be no trace of the original item at all. If the fire really burns. If half fire is there, half knowledge is there, half things will be burned, half will still be there. When Purna Jnanam or Purnam fire is full, in blaze, there will be nothing left but ashes, correct? The previous history of whether item was there or not, you do not know. Is it correct? The same way, when the knowledge rises in you, in that knowledge, which is the fire, your previous ahankara which you had before were all erased or is actually removed, which we have seen before as well. We have seen in the previous chapters how when knowledge rises, it replaces your existing knowledge about the ahamkarta. And then now you become na ahamkarta, correct? Hope you remember the previous class, or the previous 2 classes. You remember all these things. Because here, the Acharya assumes that you already read this and you are fairly advanced in understanding all these things. So he just presents textual presentation, that's what it is. But we are trying to understand a bit more and giving Bhashyam elaborate more on this. So, na aham pratyayaha vahnihi ushtam. Ushtam means the fire or the heat. So when the heat in the fire burns everything, just as the knowledge which is arising in the mind generates an amount of energy or the brilliance. That is the one which removes your ahankaraha or your concept of the I thought as the doership. Okay. Then katam karma parohati. So where is the question of the growing? Parohati means grow. So arohati, arohanam, we say arohanam, avarohanam. So in music also you got arohanam and avarohanam. That is increasing the pitch and lowering the pitch. So arohanam, when you say here, so parohati means arohanam. There is a question of it growing. So there is, when the knowledge is already removed all the ajnanam before, where this karma will come and increase your activities, or it will give you all these things. It's the answer given by Adi Shankara. So first line talks about what? Aham pratyaya bijam yad aham pratyaya vastitam. That means, as long as, that means, if you have a notion that you are the doer, your doership will always be in the mind, and you will still continue to be the doer as long as you are. Whereas, if you remove the doership due to jnanam rising in the mind, then the previous knowledge is erased about you being a doer, because something new has to replace the old ones. You cannot say that I will have side by side both knowledge. You cannot say either you should have full or should have half. You cannot have in between knowledge. See, you may have half knowledge in between. See, when you are studying Shastra, it is possible that you will be oscillating between aham bijam pratyayam and na aham bijam pratyayam. It's possible. So you will have this knowledge halfway in between. But soon, this previous knowledge, old knowledge, will be replaced by new knowledge. Just as vasamsi jina yata guhaya. Right? So in Bhagavad Gita also, just as the physical body undergoes change and takes a new body, just as you change the shirt gets old, what do? You don't stitch and keep on stitching. You just throw the old shirt away, put a new shirt. No, you cannot say, no, I would like to wear an old shirt, tattered shirt underneath. And I would like to wear the new shirt on top. Nobody would do that. Because if your shirt is torn, if it is of no use, what do you do with that? You throw the shirt away, right? And you substitute with a new shirt. So it's like, some joke which I heard in school, Sardarji was there. So he has got a very fond liking for a particular socks. And he used to wear the socks for many weeks and months. He doesn't like to wash the socks. So one day his wife told him, we have to go to the party now. And I don't want you to come to the party with these socks. So he says, you wear new socks and come. So he wears new socks and he goes to the party with his wife. Somehow the whole room is again filled with stench. The same stench is coming. So his wife asked, I asked you to wear new socks. Did you wear it or not? He said, yes. See, I showed my feet new socks. And where is this smell coming? No, it is actually old socks I like very much. I put it in a pocket and came. So he carries the old socks bundle, all this rotten smell which is there. He doesn't want to get rid of it. So he kept it in his pocket and came. But it is not possible. So it will actually be, abnormal. So what do you say? When old knowledge is there, it is there for reason. So new knowledge will try to override the knowledge to some extent. But when the Purna Jnanam happens, old thing cannot exist anymore. You cannot retain old knowledge just because you want to have it. If you say you want to have old knowledge, that means you're still living in old knowledge, correct? The Purna Jnanam has not come into place yet. Whereas when you have full knowledge, then you discard the old things, you do not have to worry about it. That's why it says here, Na aham pratyayaha pakhnihi ushtam khatam karma parohati. So where is the question of this karma arising and doing things for the jnani? Now there is a question from the Purva Paksha. I already explained this to you in summary. So the Purva Paksha has a question now. So second verse is the first line. The first section is the question from the Purva Paksha. Drishtavat chet parohasyat, drishtavat parohasyat, nanya karma sa ishyate. Drishtavat chet paro hasyat nanya karma sa ishyate tannirode katam tatsyat tannirode katam satyat pritchamo vastu dacchatham pritchamo vastu dacchatham. So drishtavat chet parohaha. So drishtavat, when I say here, drishtaha means he talks about the drishtaphalam. As I told you, now he's coming to the second drishtaphalam. He's coming with this. So drishtaphalam chet parohaha. So the word parohaha means talks about the parohasya means Purapakshaha is saying this, or a student with question saying Drishtaphalam, Adrishtaphalam, Bat Chet. Or if Drishtaphalam is like, so what we saw before, that this Jnani also has got Drishtaphalam, Ajnani also got Drishtaphalam, then what is the difference between the two? Is the question. The answer is given in the second section of the first line. Suna anya karma sa ishyate. So as I told you, the anya karma is what? Those karmas which are not governed by the injunctions, vidihi in the Shastra. So anya karma means those karmas which are not governed for the jnani doesn't affect him at all. So remember we talked about Drishtaphalam, Adrishtaphalam, where the jnani has got Drishtaphalam only. Because if he is hungry, if he eats, then it is Drishtaphalam, because the hunger is satisfied. But eating actually is not specified as a karma in the, there's no vidhi for it. It is one of the actions to be done. So he says, for the jnani, na anya karma sa ishyate, means what? It doesn't get applicable for such a person who is a jnani. The vidhi karma is applicable only for the ajnani, because he is not governed anymore by all the rules and injunctions in the Vedas. And if a person does any activities after he has gained jnanam, such a karmas are actually outside of the vidihi, outside of the Vedic injunctions. This we saw elaborately in the previous classes. Hope you remember that. For a jnani, the Vedic injunctions do not apply because there's a special provision. Because he is not a doer anymore, he doesn't need to get any more punyam and papam. Because he is free from punyam and papam, he is free from those Vedic injunctions. But still there are activities which a person does for living this life, because the prarabdha karma is same for both the jnani and ajnani. So for living a life, for the body to survive, one has to eat, one has to sleep, one has to walk, one has to talk, one has to blink an eye, one has to fall sick, recover. All these things are part of the body aspect. And this is something the jnani cannot avoid. As I told you before also, when I saw Swamiji many years ago when he came here, and when I saw him the last time before he passed away, he was a completely different person. He used to tell us, I cannot do anything anymore. I want to teach, my desire is there, but my prarabdha is, my physical body is so weak that I cannot do anything. I cannot fight this, because it is something very, very strong. And even if you have jnanam also, you have to endure it. You cannot say that, I'm a wise person, I'm a jnani now, so prarabdha karma won't touch you. No, you are still governed by all these things. Even if you are a jnani also, mudug valikalam, tala valikalam, ella irukum. You still be affected by cold and everything else because it is something which is already ordained. You cannot do anything about it. So he's not come to the question yet. He's now come to the second question, the Drishtaphala. So you are saying that the first question talks about Drishtavat Chet Parohaha. So this is the question by the Purvapaksha saying that Drishtaphalam is applicable to Jnani also or Ajnani also. So why are you distinguishing him from other people? For the answer he says here is Anya karma na ishyate. So your understanding is not correct. Your understanding about the Jnani is that he is not affected by the Vidihi, but he is affected by the Anya karma which is not in the Shastra. And there are no rules for it that he should do this or not do this. There are no rules in the Shastra that one should teach. There are no rules that one should eat this much, 3 times a day, so many types of food, nothing like this. It is up to one's feeling as to what you should eat and what you should not eat, and how much you should eat, when to eat. They're all governed by how much a person feels hungry and those kind of things, and they differ from person to person. Whereas an Ajnani has got, I had to eat this breakfast, lunch, dinner, I had to eat this, I had to do this puja before. All these things are applicable for the person. He wants to go out and eat. Such a person doesn't have desire. He doesn't have a desire to go and eat food outside. He doesn't have a desire to travel per se. So he distinguishes this in the first line. Then, Tannirode khatam tatsya pruchamo pastud uchyatham. So you say Tannirode means you say ignorance is gone. So Tannirode, you say ignorance is gone for a Jnani. Sorry, ignorance is gone for a Jnani. There's no Vidhi there for Jnani. But ignorance is there in the form of the physical body, in the Jnani. So if the physical body is there, I mean what? There is ignorance still there. So Katam Tat Syat. So when it is destroyed, so when you say that knowledge is there, has destroyed everything, why is the Prarabdha karma still there for the Jnani? Katam Tat Syat Prachamo Vastad Uchyatham. So you tell us now why there is Prarabdha karma for the Jnani. You got it? So I explained to you the whole synopsis. Now the reading mantra becomes easy. So Drishtavat Chet Parohaha Syat is a question from the Purvapaksha. So Drishtaphalam is there for the Jnani or not? You say it is there, and I also say it is there. So why do you deny it? Then he says that Anya karma na ishyate. So I said it because there are other karmas which is not governed by the Shastram, is applicable for the wise person, which is not bound by the person. See, eating doesn't generate any papam or punya. It is just a physical desire. It's a desire. You don't eat just like that. You eat only because you feel hungry. See, there is a natural desire for you to eat, then you eat. You do not say that, oh, money pandayat is happening. 2 o'clock is time for tea, you just go and have tea. You don't like a mechanical clock, you don't do like this. See, there are people who do that. They look at the clock, oh, 3, time for tea. 5:30, time for snacks. But a Jnani doesn't live like this. A wise person doesn't have any particular time of eating and sleeping. He just lives as it requires. If a person needs to sleep, longer he'll sleep. If a person needs to eat more, he'll eat, or less. Maybe next day he will not eat at all. It's all. So it is nothing like a particular desire is there. Whereas the Ajnani is driven by desire. That's what he clarifies here. Anya karma sa ishyate, saha ishyate. Then Tannirode khatam syat. tad pruchhamo, but tad uchyatham. So you tell me now, why does a jnani has prarabdha karma when you say knowledge has already been attained? So the answer for this is given in the next verse, which we'll see in the next class. Have you understood this verse so far? Suresh, have you understood this?
Yeah.
Subbu, have you understood this?
Yes, Shankar. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Jay,
the synopsis that you give in the beginning is pretty clear. I think that makes it a bit more easy to go through the slokas.
what about Jay? Have you understood this so far?
Yes.
That's why I had to give you a bird's eye view first, because
Yeah, that's the
the
best
Pura
thing.
Paksha, everything you see, this is a logical question. See, when you feel, right? He's actually asking correct questions only. Why does the Jnani has got, why is he living there? He must be dead by this time. Unfortunately, you cannot drop dead or you cannot just take birth, depending upon what it is, not in your hands. That's what he explains later on. That prarabdha karma is actually very strong. You cannot just override it. Even by jnanam also, you cannot override it. It is something which you have to undergo because of your previous janma. And you have already been ordained by it, whether you like it or not, you have to go through it. So all of us are going through the same cycle. Whether we have back pain, whether we have this pain, that pain or not, we all know that the pain is related to the physical body. Right? We all know this. But somehow we endure it because we have to go through. At that time when the pain is coming, we forget, oh my God, I'm having pain. Right?
Does that mean that with knowledge, jnanam, you have the ability to, you also have an impact on your sanchita karma, or just the prarabdha karma?
No, sanchita karma also will be gone, because sanchita karma is required only when you think you have a physical body. Right? So when you disown the physical body and saying that, look, I don't need the physical body anymore because I'm not a doer anymore, I don't have any karma anymore. So if you don't want the karma anymore, why is the sanchita karma also will not be clamoring for physical body? See, when you say that, yes, I have got things to do, then when you die halfway not fulfilling these activities, then sanchitam will be active, because they will say, look, this person has died, vasanas are still there, not completed yet. So let him complete what he wants to do. Whereas when you say that aham purnaha, I do not have anything more to achieve in this life, and I'm living this life now because my body is still there, I have to continue living this life, I'm living this. So, but he has got his vision very clearly. So as soon as the prarabdha goes, the physical body goes, agami karma is already gone, because the person's already left agami karma, says that I do not need anything more, so he's just disconnected with that. So for the sanchita karma is given as a special facility for such a person, where it says, because you don't need a physical body, I'm not going to come and force you. I'm not going to come and tell you that you should need a physical body anymore. So that is what he confirms in the next two verses. So it is only cognitive. See, physically you cannot do anything. You cannot say that if somebody comes and tells you that are you Atma or are you physical body, he said, I am the Atma. So Atma doesn't eat. Sometimes wife comes and asks me, oh, you are a very nice person, knowledgeable person. You come and tell me this.
Yeah, I think it would be more visible in your attitude, in your behavior.
You just laugh it off, because sometimes you feel people ask the question, Atma, you are Atma. Atma does not speak, Atma does not eat anything, so you will not have any fear. So, our attitude is what? Go quickly and take a bite and come back. So it is not that you elaborate, lunch, ukando, 3 hours after Mollam. No, not like this. What do you do there? Class, I got to study something, I got to do this. Get in there, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, quickly grab a bite, fill your tummy, so that you are able to talk for next 2-3 hours. This is how the jnani, this is how the person lives. Whereas, no, see, my time is there for lunch, so I have to go elaborately, I have to prepare this, it will take me time, siesta, prama. All these are actually all not required for jnani, because he doesn't live the life for that. He lives a life for moksha. He's already achieved his moksha. So that's a difference in attitude. It is the attitude which is what is governing the lifestyle, not actually the physical way he's living it. That is what the Purva Paksha doesn't understand. He comes, it's a good question because he's asking all these questions which every student will ask. What about Prarabdha Karma? What about Sanchita Karma? What about Agami Karma? So he asks all these questions. Drishta Phalam, Adrishta Phalam. Is it applicable or not applicable? Why you are saying it's applicable to him, why you're not? Parapaksha may applicable. So all these things are answered in this particular topic. Which is a small verse, 5 verse, but it's very full loaded. A lot of deep meanings are there in this. Okay. Srikanth, you had any questions? You're okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm okay. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a question?
No, not as of now, sir. No.
Okay. So we'll stop the class here. Is it okay? We'll stop. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste and Shubh Bharati.
Thank you.